There's some members of staff that refuse to go down there on their own because they just get this sort of creepy vibe.
You hear that? Shuffling. You know the horrible things that have said to have occurred in this very bedroom.
Room 7, if you asked me to spend a night in Room 7 on my own, it would be absolutely not.
I'm going to be spending the night in the most haunted room in the whole of the ancient city of Chester. This is the legendary Pied Bull.
Chester, a city that's nearly 2,000 years old and once a major fortress in this part of the world. Just walking around its stone city walls and fortifications, with its days gone by, still visible all around you. Everywhere you go in this city, you can see a piece of every era of history in Britain, so it's no surprise that this place is known for being extremely haunted. After all, you are walking in the exact same streets that the Romans once did. Tonight I'm staying in the Pied Bull, the oldest continuously licensed public house in Chester, and in particular it's Room 7, renowned for being the most haunted room in this city of residual ghosts. The Pied Bull is located on the Roman road of Northgate. After the Romans left, this was the site of two medieval tenements, with one being Bull Tenement, owned by nuns of St Mary's Convent from 1155. Dwelling houses existed on this spot until it was rebuilt by Richard Grimdish, who was the first registered innkeeper of this place in 1571. Its name is believed to originate from a former cattle market that existed close to this site. Many pubs in this area also feature the word bull in their name. The hauntings here can be pinpointed to a series of tragic events. The spirit of a former owner, John Davies, has been seen in the cellar by staff close to the stairs where he died in a bloody accident.
The first cellar, it is known for having a male presence down there, so previous sort of ghost hunting groups and things that we've had here have all mentioned the same sort of oppressive male feeling in there. There is a story about a former landlord, John Davis, who was landlord here in 1609, and on the, I'm pretty sure it was the 27th of September 1609, he fell down the stairs and died at 2 o'clock in the morning. So back then they had these big massive wooden barrels with the big wooden corks, and you had to open those with a knife. So we think that he was going downstairs with a knife to open a barrel. That's the only feasible explanation that we can think of, really. And he's fallen down and impaled himself. So this male presence that people get, we wonder if it is the ghost of John Davis still haunting the Pied Bull.
An adjacent cellar was once part of the property next door, but has since merged into the Pied Bull's premises in recent years. Some people have reported hearing a baby crying down here, but with the history of this part of the building unknown to the Pied Bull, it's hard to say what could be causing this haunting. Staff are always informed of ghostly goings-on as people check out of the hotel, as well as mentions of ghostly activity on review websites, and they all seem to occur in one area of the building, around rooms 7, 8 and 9, with room 7 in particular having the darkest past. A 15-year-old stable boy is said to haunt room 7 of the inn, as well as the area downstairs in the site of a former stables. In 1789, his torch set some hay on fire, resulting in the stable block being burnt down and destroyed. He was carried into room 7 and treated here before he died later on of his injuries.
Room 7, if you asked me to spend a night in room 7 on my own, it would be absolutely not, and I don't know why. There are some stories about room 7. So there was a suicide, a young man, this is in modern times, slit his wrists and committed suicide. There was also a fire many years ago when it was a coach house. somebody dropped a lantern in the stables and all of the sort of hay set on fire. Somebody was badly burned and taken to room 7 and died in there. And there is also reports of an old lady who we assume is a housekeeper, an old housekeeper, who is said to roam between 7, 8 and 9.
Who is this housekeeper that has been seen by people standing in their hotel rooms in the dead of night?
People will say that they get shadows in the far corner there and in this corridor. The most recent thing was a review on booking.com about 3 weeks ago in August. It was a young couple. I'd say they were in their maybe early 20s. They didn't know anything about the history of sort of the room or anything, or they didn't appear to know. They mentioned it when they checked out as well, but they put on this review that at 5 o'clock in the morning they were in bed, and one of the bedside tables literally fell over. And again, you know, I'm quite sort of logical, and I thought, well, maybe they sort of knocked it over in their sleep. But then looking at the bedside table, it's a really heavy bedside table. You know, it would take some force. So yeah, that's the most recent thing that's happened in here, I'd say. This room is very, very popular. It's often one of the first rooms to go, you know, when people book. But occasionally, like tonight, it'll be vacant. And there have been occasions where it's been sort of the end of the night. There's just been maybe myself and one of the bar staff in. Obviously there's been guests in other parts of the hotel, but we've heard footsteps. This room is directly above the bar, and it's a really big room. And the footsteps are, you know, it's obviously above, you know, you can really hear it. It's not, the sound isn't travelling. There's been a number of occasions where I've heard footsteps in this room. But there's been nobody staying in this room, and the door's been. The first time it happened, I even came and just checked the door was locked. I thought maybe there's, you know, guests from another room wandering. Door was locked, nobody here.
With hundreds of years of history, it's no surprise that people are picking up on oppressive energy in these rooms. As I checked into room 7, I felt unwell almost immediately. I felt dizzy and weak, and my hand was shaking uncontrollably. This has never happened to me in 11 years of ghost hunting. Yet once I left the room and came down and began recording, I felt totally fine. I start off in the cellar directly below the Pied Bull, where staff believe it is haunted by John Davies, the former landlord who died here in the 1600s. So I am underground here in the Pied Bull, and I hope you can hear me very well, because this cellar is also used as a brewery as well. But this is the cellar that many staff who work here really don't like to come down alone when they're on shift, when they've got to come down and change the obviously the drinks, the beer barrels. All that's got to be done down here. And of course, history does show that this is the scene of a very tragic accident that occurred well over 300 years ago. So let me just show you around. Here we've got the current staircase that goes upstairs to the rest of the bar here at the Pied Bull. Now, the story goes that a man by the name of John Davies, no relation, fell, came down the steps and landed with very sharp object going straight through him, killing him. Now these are the current steps that we've got here at the Pied Bull. Now you're going to hear that noise quite a bit. I believe that is machinery. It's the air pressure, I believe. I'm not 100% sure. So that's not paranormal, but these are the current steps that come down into this very cellar. Now you would think this would be the exact location right here where John had his accident, but I'm told that over here, it's going to get a bit noisy, there is some original. This is where they believe there used to be an old staircase. Now this wasn't linked to the building, this is sort of an outside cellar. So the steps would have come from
above ground down here where these barrels currently are now. It's possible, and it's not, no one's been able to prove this 100%, but it is possible that this is the location where the original stairs down to this cellar did occur. Now we don't know 100%, like I say, it happened in the 17th century, so getting exact details for that are going to be tricky indeed. And one thing I just need to point out to you as well, it is boiling down here. It is absolutely stifling. So when you hear stories about staff getting a very cold blast of air, you can believe that, because it is so cold, so warm down here rather, that any cold air down here, you're going to feel it. I can believe that. I'm just having a little walk around. This is the cellar that they really don't like to come down. I'm just having a little walk around. This is the cellar that they really don't like to come down. Straight away I'm hearing, thought I heard a scuff, but it could have been myself. And I think that is my footprints. The floor is damp. Yeah, that is my footprints down there. The floor is a little bit damp. But they do think that John does haunt this cellar. John Davies, possibly Welsh, we don't know. Let's try and ask to see if he is here with us tonight in the Pied Bull in Chester. If there's anybody down here, any spirits that would like to come forward and contact me tonight, let me know of your presence. Make a bang. Can you move an object? Can you just give me some sort of sign that you're with me tonight? Can you hear that? Shuffling, shuffling. Sounds like someone shuffling. We've literally been 4 minutes into this and already I'm hearing a shuffling sound. See, that's my feet. You probably just heard me walk there, but I'm stood still. If that was you, can you do that again? Yeah. I don't know if you're hearing that. It's very hard to hear with the machinery down here, the brewery machinery. It was very faint. It was coming from in here. There. Oh, even step up. It's much quieter in here. Got a little glass window. John? I'm hearing noises down here. John Davies. I don't know if we are related. We probably are somewhere. Somewhere down the family tree there'll be a connection. But John, if you're here with me tonight, please let me know. Please let me know.
When asking for spirit communication, one of the microphones picks up a knock which wasn't heard at the time of recording. A locked off camera upstairs in the bar directly above did not pick this up on audio, so it cannot be somebody walking around above.
Please let me know. Can you give me a cold blast of air? There's some sort of dripping noise. I can hear noises like all around me. They're just very faint. You might not be able to hear them on the microphone with me being in a brewery with machines, but I can hear faint, very faint sounds. Let's go to the bottom of the stairs. Like I say, we don't know the exact spot where the accident happened in 1690, but we know it did happen down here. One thing I like to do on all of our videos, I like to show everybody what it's really like, because you're seeing this through an IR light, a night vision light. This is what it looks like. That's what I can see. Alright, turn night vision on. So I'm in complete darkness down here, relying on an infrared light. John Davies, Chester, are you still in the Pied Bull? Give me some kind of acknowledgement that you're here. Did you die down here? In that, what sounds like a horrific accident, landing on something very sharp that pierced you and probably caused you to bleed to death? Ooh, I think that was what sounds like a horrific accident, landing on something very sharp that pierced you and probably caused you to bleed to death. Ooh, I think that was...
Two events happened here. I was startled by something that made a bang somewhere else in the cellar. But a few seconds before that, I asked the question if somebody died. I didn't hear anything, but listen to what our microphones picked up. It sounds like a faint yes. I'll enhance that for you.
Landing on something very sharp that pierced you and probably caused you to bleed to death. Ooh, I think that was... Landing on something very sharp that pierced you and probably caused you to bleed to death. Ooh, I think that was...
Is this the ghost of John Davies confirming that he is indeed still haunting the cellar of the Pied Bull?
I'm hearing all kinds of sounds down here, but John, if that was you, make more of a bang sound.
So many little doorways. You can see the original brick. This would have been a network of little cellars underneath the original medieval pub. John, I'm going to move on to another part of the building. This is your last chance, please. If there's any way you can let me know you're here. There's two sort of main cellars underneath the Pied Bull where we were just before. The main cellar, that was part of the original building. This one's quite modern. It's part of the extension of the Pied Bull, and this one's only a couple of 100 years ago that it was built, and it's been acquired quite recently. There's quite a lot of paranormal activity reported down here. Quite recently, a paranormal group actually claimed to have heard a baby crying. So let's have a little look at this corridor. So this is it. I'm just looking at my LCD screen so I can see where I am going. Now this is used primarily just for storage for the staff, and there's these little doorways in here. Now what's in here I can't see, but I'm using the screen, so it's just a little storage area, if you like, and then closed door on this one. You can hear a few noises from outside. Just going to go to the end. Some spare mattresses. Of course, this is a hotel. And then just to the right in here, we've got another storage room. And look at these old kind of like what they would have in old, I don't want to be all cliche about it, but the old mortuary. But this was probably a wine cellar, to be fair. I would imagine, looking at the styling of some of these, they would have probably stored certainly drink down here back in the day. This is probably what its main purpose would have been. But we are right in the underground section of this ancient inn here in Chester. And even before this was an inn, in the 1100s, this building would have been something else. There would have been something else here. We know it was heavily linked to cattle. We know that it was on the site of a Roman road. You can still see the map. If you look at a map of the old Chester when it was a Roman fort, you can still see this very street was the exact shape and length and width that it is today. So this is a Roman road. The chances are there was a Roman building on this site. These foundations would be built into what was once a use for the Romans. So I'm just looking around. Now they did hear a baby cry down here, and I don't know what the history of this particular area, because this was not the original Pied Bull cellar. This is something they've acquired sort of next door, if you know what I mean. They've taken over next door, and this is their cellar. So the history of this place is not in the Pied Bull's original history. So let's ask out. Let's try and see if we can communicate with anything down here. Is anybody down here? Please let me know. Make a tap, make a bang. Is there any children down here? Any babies, any young mothers with a baby?
People claim to have heard a baby crying, as I can hear a motorbike going past. You can hear the traffic from down here. A lot less quiet though compared to the brewery cellar. And a lot colder as well. I was literally soaking with sweat when I was down there. Look at this. I don't know if you can see it on night vision. It's like that focus, original walls. I'm just going to touch the wall. Listen to that, it's very crumbly. These foundations will be so old. It's unreal to think that this plot of land has had so many uses in such an ancient city. Chester, going back to the Romans, Anglo-Saxons, the Vikings. And then this building had hundreds of years of history as an inn, as a pub. Spirits, if there's any spirits in here with me, any ghosts in here tonight, I'd love to make contact with you. I'd love you to show yourself, to just let me be aware that you're here. Can't go in there. Not sure what's in there, but it's a locked door. Oh. Can't go in there. Not sure what's in there, but it's a locked door. Oh. Do you hear a tap? Hello? Is anybody with me? Can you do that again? Did you used to work here? If you did, come forward. Are you the maid that's been seen around here? Although you're mainly seen in the upstairs bedrooms. Did you used to live here? I know this was a residential premises at one point in the building's history. This was once your house, your cellar. You can hear a bit of street noise up there. We're not too far below ground. We are literally just down a flight of stairs. One of the oldest inns you probably ever get a chance to go to if you're in Chester. I tell you what, if you ever do come to somewhere like this, don't book into one of those out of town modern hotels. Get something oldie worldy like this. It's fantastic. I know when you come to cities like Bath, Chester, York, Cambridge, you get all these fantastic buildings that are steeped with hundreds and hundreds of years of history, and it makes much more sense to stay in places like this than the modern travel lodges. It just feels a bit special. Staff down here call this the creepy corridor. They mainly use this for getting changed, storing their work outfits in. any babies, I'd love to hear the cry that one group claimed that they heard not long ago. I'm dying to get up to the bedrooms, find out what all the hype is about. Room 7 and room number 9. I tell you what, let's get up there.
I headed upstairs to room 7, supposedly one of 3 rooms where the spirit of a former maid has been seen by guests while sleeping here.
Now, one thing I love as a paranormal investigator is trying to capture any evidence that we can onto camera, and I'm not going to lie, if that happens now, I'll be quite terrified, because this is the room I'm sleeping in tonight. This is room 7, said to be by many to be the most haunted room in this old inn. It's infamous. They claim it's the most haunted room in the whole of Chester. It's infamous. They claim it's the most haunted room in the whole of Chester.
For some reason, I didn't even react to this sound. Presumably, I didn't even notice it at the time. You can clearly hear a dull thud right after I finished speaking. There was nobody else in the corridor here that I was staying at, and the room above was empty.
Let's have a look. Turn the IR light on and get a perspective of what we've got in this room. Remember, I am in complete darkness up here. If I dim the IR light, you get more of a sense of how dark it is up here. We know the horrible things that have said to have occurred in this very bedroom, involving the death from a fire. A young man accidentally caught fire whilst working in the stables that were linked to this room. He was brought up here, and this is the room where he's said to have passed away. And most recently, horrible events. I'm not going to name any names, but there was another tragedy that occurred here within the last decade. And of course it is very sensitive for some, and we're going to be really respectful about that. I'm just going to turn the IR light on a bit more so you can see a bit. One thing I love about this room is this low beam. I'm just going to walk under it. Now, I didn't know this until recently. The reason you've got these low beams that you can bang your head on, not because it's, obviously because it's an old building, but the reason because it's, well, people were shorter back in the day. You have to stoop to go under it. And yeah, obviously it's only recently that humans have become a lot taller. So we bang our heads on things like that. But this is the haunted room number 7, where I'll probably be sleeping in this bed right in front of me here. We've also got the bathroom through here. See if I can find myself in the dark, just so you can have a little look at what we've got. We've got a shower, toilet and sink. You can see me, camera in hand. That's not a torch, by the way, that's just the infrared light on the camera. Keep the doors open a little bit so we can hear what's going on. Over there we've got a table, a chair, mirror, and that's the door. So many things, so many people have come in and out of this door for hundreds and hundreds of years. It's an incredible amount of history. So we're told that there's a maid who haunts this part of the building. She used to work here when this was a coaching inn. If you are a maid, if you did used to work here, you communicate with me. Did you die here when it was a fire? Do you still think you work here? Can you appear as some sort of light anomaly? Some sort of orb on my camera? Did you die here recently? Can you communicate with me, please? I think we'll try using a spirit box session.
I'm trying the SB7 Spirit Box, a device which scans white noise, believed by many as being a way for spirits to communicate.
If there's anybody in this room that's able to communicate with me, please tell me your name by speaking really loudly into this device. Did you die here? Are you a maid here? Sounded like a woman's voice coming through. Can you tell me the year in which you died? Definitely voices coming in. What is your name?
I could definitely hear the female voice coming through on the SP7 spirit box. Could this be that of the housekeeper that has been seen by many guests in the middle of the night standing over their bed? I am now using the SLS camera, which uses technology that's found in gaming software to detect players in motion games. When it finds someone, it maps them as a stick figure. So when you see a stick figure that doesn't have a physical appearance in it, many people believe that this is that of a spirit. Watch how I map two figures in the doorway leading to the bathroom. One is definitely a tall adult, the other one is much smaller. Could one of those be the boy that died in this very room in a fire back in the 1700s? What about the taller one? Maybe this could be the housekeeper. So this is it then. This is room 9 here at the Pied Bull in Chester. This is the room that recently had the review on booking.com from a couple who, quite a young couple, was staying in this bed, and they claimed that one of these bedside drawers, cabinets, not sure which one, left or right, was physically thrown at 4 o'clock in the morning, and we are in the early hours of the morning here, and we are going to see if we can communicate with anybody or anything that's in this room with us tonight. People believe it could be a maid that once worked here at the Pied Bull. If there's anybody in here that wants to come forward, do so now. Was it you that threw one of these cabinets just 3 weeks before we came here to film? People claim this area of the room, they see shadows. There's one couple took a photograph in here, apparently had something strange appear. Thought I heard a bang. It's such a beautiful room, this. Just have a little look around. Big old fireplace. It's an enormous room, obviously recently been extended with the extension of this building not that long ago. Many people do. I thought I heard a shuffle again, a rustling noise. If that is anybody, can you do that again? If you would like to come forward and contact me tonight, you can do. Make a knock, make a bang. Can you throw one of those bedside cabinets forward? I know the owners of the Pied Bull might not want me to encourage their furniture to be thrown around and damaged, but if we can capture some of that on camera, that would be amazing. You woke a poor couple up, one during the night, one early hours of the morning. Why did you do that? Why did you do that if you were looking after this place as a maid? And I'll just feel really cold in this room. It was really warm downstairs before, but all of a sudden it just feels really cold in here. Very cold. I've got all the windows have been closed. It's got a very creepy feel to this room. Very creepy. Very nice television. It's a huge room. Very large room. I've also got to say a big thanks to the staff here at the Pied Bull who've allowed me to come and film in here tonight. It's such an incredible place, and Chester itself is very oldie worldy, very historical, well worth a visit. I decided to retire for the night and I went to bed. What I hoped would be a relaxing night in room 7. The fire alarms have just gone off. It's nearly 4 in the morning, woken everybody up. That red light on the telly's just flashing on and off as well. It's like a standby light. I'm not sure why it wasn't doing that before. Half asleep. What caused the fire alarm to go off in the middle of the night? I asked the staff the next morning and they had no idea what caused it. Could this be something to do with the residual energy of the spirits that died in a fire in this exact room? And also the television, the light is blinking. Watch this footage recorded earlier in the evening. You can see that the standby light is a constant red light. But when I was woken up by something, it was blinking. The Pied Bull has a strange atmosphere, and you can only feel it when you step beneath its old wooden beams. If you ever visit Chester, visit the Pied Bull, but I'd advise you to stay out of rooms 7 and 9. Like and subscribe to the Dead Air channel, where there's a lot more videos like this already on there with more to come.